How you get so big into food of this kind?
Hello Internet, welcome to my breakdown of the Solo, a Star Wars Story official trailer. So we've seen the TV spot, and we've seen the teaser, but now it's time to get into and delve into the official story trailer. So this one is the one that kind of gives us more of an idea of what the plot of the film is going to be, as opposed to anything else. If you're here, I'm going to assume you've seen the trailer. If you haven't, I suggest you go watch it. I'm not going to play it back for you, because I don't think anybody really came here to see the trailer. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop into analyzing mode, and I'll give you my thoughts on what I think we're seeing here. Alright, so here we are in the trailer itself, opening image. When we hit go, you're going to hear a really awesome musical riff, or whatever the appropriate term for that is. But before we get started, what we're seeing here, I believe this is Corellia. So Han Solo and his origin is a Corellian, a person from the planet Corellia, another Corellian being Wedge Antilles from the Star Wars films. So there was some hope that we were going to see that planet. It is a planet that had a lot of contact with the Empire. It was a shipbuilding world. There's a book coming out called Most Wanted, and it's by Ray Carson. And the blurb about it describes how Han and Kira were growing up on the streets of Corellia together, so I think it's pretty safe to assume that this is going to be Corellia. I think this is actually a planet we're going to see a fair amount on. This shot is obviously at night, but I think we see some daytime shots, and I'll kind of get into that as we go. Alright, I love this beat. Okay, so then this shot here is another big thing. What everyone's talking about here is the Star Destroyer that is under construction. Here's another part of the Star Destroyer. So as I said, Corellia is known, Corellia, I can't speak super well, is known as a shipbuilding world. So here we see presumably the planet that Han Solo grew up on, and it is a planet that is building parts of the Empire. I'm kind of curious to see how this goes into his character's origin. Is he going to be kind of like Jin, where he's a little bit indifferent and the Empire is just the Empire? Is he going to be more aloof and doesn't really see a problem with the Empire? Or is he going to hate the Empire for taking over his home world? Han would have been old enough to remember the Republic before the Empire took over and Revenge of the Sith, so it could go either way. But like I said, a lot of people, I was really, really into this. What not a lot of people are talking about that I am super into is this, whatever this is. Look at this little animal. It's probably not necessarily going to be like the next Porg or anything, but I'm super into the space gerbil right now. And I just love the look of this. I love the wires and everything. So much in Star Wars is so fancy and technologically advanced. I like seeing wires. As we continue, I love these three dudes. Presumably they're like homeless dudes, but they also kind of look like monks, and I just like the homeless monk people. This guy looks like he's like, I don't know, playing Fortnite Mobile or something. Like I don't know what his hands are doing. This is super cool. It kind of makes me think like Logan's Runny, but I don't think it's really like that. But this is obviously the underbelly of a planet, presumably the planet we just saw, which is presumably Corellia. You can see who I'm assuming is Han walking through here, and then see this kind of circular thing here, and it's got like a little doodad on it, and then here this door opens, and it's got a curved edge. I think this is this door. I think this is Han going up to probably Kira's door. You can see he's kind of like scarred and beaten up, so I think maybe he got into a fight, but I think we've seen a speeder chase, and maybe he got injured in that, and he's coming to be like, sorry babe, I totally screwed up by crashing a speeder. Here we are, once again, at the Diet Knights of Ren, as I like to call them. So at first, when we knew that Paul Bettany was going to be a villain, I thought this might be Paul Bettany, but it's not. It's some really kooky character, like a Finn's Nest or something. I don't know. It's a weird name. I don't know why you'd want your last name to be Nest exactly, but sure. But yeah, this looks like the Diet Knights of Ren on some planet that has some sand on it. So it's probably safe to assume that Darth Vader will not be there because of the sand. That was a terrible joke. Han gets into a shootout here, but what I think is interesting, we're going to actually throttle this back and listen to what Kira has to say here.
You're after something.
You're after something?
Is it revenge?
Is it revenge, she says. So I think it's interesting that she's saying revenge here, and I'm wondering if that's because Han is going to end up having... I'm so good at this. I wonder if it's going to be because Han is going to have some sort of background with the Diet Knights of Ren, or if that was just placement of words in a trailer, and this was just the best place to stick the Diet Knights of Ren. But I mean, considering that Han is in a shootout with this guy, I don't know, or gal, as many think, it's possible that Han has some sort of beef, because I'm not sure why Han would just show up at a beach and be like, let's get into a shootout. But maybe he would. I don't know that I think this shot with all the stuff behind him, note Chewbacca right there, is here, but maybe it is. I don't know. But the reason why I bring up the revenge point is because here... Money. And then we see Han looking at credits. So we have the association of money with money, therefore I think we might be seeing the association of revenge with someone who needed to be revenged on. This is a big bit here. So we have all these cool aliens. We see Lando. Lando's in some sort of gambling den of some sort, wherever Lando is. There's the dude that the internet has lost their minds over. Therm Scissor Punch. I don't know. I think whatever this is far more interesting to me. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. Crazy theory is, I'm surprised no one is like, is that Captain Rex? It's not. It's not. But I'm surprised no one's saying that it is. I'm happily surprised. This is when our two bros first meet. Look at that. Look at that stare. Look at that stare. Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes. That's the eyes of two men that are about to have a bromance.
Money.
Here we have Han Solo in a fur coat hanging out with a Falcon. Now here's something interesting about this shot, and I can't take credit for what I'm about to talk about. But if you look back at the previous Han Solo trailers, we have this shot and no Chewbacca. But in this trailer, Chewbacca is there, which I find really, really interesting. Credit for this observation goes to James Banney of the Resistance broadcast that's a part of the Star Wars News Network. He put a tweet out that was absolutely phenomenal that points out where Chewbacca seems to be added in the trailer. I completely missed this. Really great. Wanted to give him a huge shout out for finding that. And his whole group has already done a breakdown of the trailer. I will link to that below, and you should definitely check them out. They're super nice on Twitter all the time with the people who interact with them, and just anybody who can foster a growing Star Wars community is A-okay in my book, and I just want to give credit where credit's due. Yeah, so here we have a Chewbacca who magically appeared. Now, was Chewbacca added? Part of me wonders if they might have shot it once with Han and then once with Han and Chewbacca. Like, obviously, the shot is almost the same, which makes it seem like he was added. If this is a camera move that's done on, like, a camera track that's controlled by a computer, it could absolutely be the same move again. It's also possible that this was shot on a green screen, and there's a cut where Chewie is there, and there's a cut where Chewie isn't there. And it's just a matter of superimposing. I don't know, but it's just interesting how come Chewie is added here. Like I said, I wonder if it's an actual discrepancy or if it's a different take, and what that really means for Chewbacca's story, and if they might have added more. I don't really care to get hung up on was the production a disaster, blah, blah, blah. We all know Solo had a lot of drama when it was getting made, and I don't care as long as the movie's good. There's a lot of fantastic films that were made in the midst of drama, and that drama is what made them better, and there's a lot of movies that could have been great, but drama sank them. And we don't know which one Solo's going to be, and time's going to tell, but until then, I'm going to go and just expecting to see a good Solo film, but that's my PSA for everyone. Lucasfilm logo. Always excited to see Lucasfilm logo. Hello, Kira. Okay, so with Kira, I said in my When Does Han Solo Take Place video the other day that I think the stuff we see on Corellia is going to be Han and his, like, younger days, and that's going to be kind of like the opening sequence, and then we're going to get the Solo, a Star Wars story logo, and then a couple years later, just like Rogue One did the same thing, it kind of opened with a scene, and we got the credits, and then we jumped ahead. This will have a much shorter time jump. That's my theory as to what's going on. I do have an amendment to make to that when does Han Solo take place video, but we'll get to that when it's relevant in the trailer. But here, I think they're seeing each other again for the first time in a while.
You look good. A little rough around the edges, but good.
I really like that. So clearly they're setting up some sort of romance between the two. I appreciate that they're not hiding it. They're just, yeah, there's gonna be something between the two of them. Obviously that gets a little complicated with Leia, and it makes, you know, what's gonna happen to the character. I have my theories about what's gonna happen to the character, but again, I want to wait until the appropriate moment. I really like this environment, though. I really like this, again, diet Canto Bite kind of feel. I like the idea that it's this glamorous place, but I don't know, just something about the lighting makes me feel like it's the same planet where the Diet Knights of Ren are. Total speculation. It's literally just, it's a bright, sunny planet. It's got to be the same planet. But if that's true, I like the idea of this opulence in the middle of this wasteland. Kind of like a Mad Max sort of feel. And I'm super into that. This is another shot that was pointed out in that tweet where Chewbacca was not always here. So that's kind of interesting. I also feel really bad because Chewbacca is carrying all of the things. So again, I kind of wonder, is this a case where he was just added in? Was this a case where maybe the original gag was they were walking and Chewbacca's so far behind he wouldn't be in camera? Maybe there's a bit where Chewbacca joins up with them sooner and that's a Ron Howard sort of change. I don't know. It was pointed out that, of course, when we got the first trailer, Ron Howard was already around, but I don't know, trailers are iffy with that sort of thing. But again, though, if the camera was on a track, this could be multiple takes of the same thing. We know when Rogue One was shot, they shot like 5 different movies and edited in. But that's just another interesting thing, just in terms of trying to figuring out the order in which events occur, that Chewbacca was not always originally there. I did talk about my feelings on what this is in my teaser trailer breakdown, so please feel free to check that out if you want to know more about this shot. And I had similar thoughts about like these symbols and stuff, but we get a little bit more with Woody Harrelson here. It's more obvious in this trailer that it's going to be a heist film. So with the teaser, everyone assumed it was going to be a heist film. This makes it pretty clear. Here we get a really good look at Drayden Voss. So Drayden Voss is, I'm thinking this is Paul Bettany. It's a little hard to tell because he doesn't look like Vision, and he also looks like he's having a really bad skin day. But he's this dude, and from what I'm gathering, from what Woody said, I understand his name's not Woody, but his name's always going to be Woody to me. If we listen...
Heard about a job. Big shot gangster, putting together crew.
So it sounds like they're going to be working for him, but Paul Bettany has been described as playing a villain. So I think that's kind of interesting, where they're working for the villain. So I'm wondering if they get betrayed really early on, if it's just going to be clear that he's working for a bad guy and this is going to be a moral struggle for Han. But I'm kind of interested in how this goes about. I'm really excited to not know why he has these things on his face, and then really excited to hear everyone complain that we don't know why he has all the scars on his face, because that's how Twitter works. I also am digging like whatever this dude behind him here is wearing, but yeah, I'm excited. I like, again, this kind of goes to what I was saying about how Diet Canto Bite. It has this Mad Max sort of feel, and I feel like so often when we have crazy looking villains, like Darth Maul like villains, not that he's Force sensitive, but I just mean like visually interesting villains, they're usually aliens, and I like that this is a visually interesting villain who's human. Like, even Kylo Ren is interesting because of his armor. But when he takes his armor off, he's Adam Driver. Like, eventually he got a scar, but then the scar's healing. This is a guy who did not spend a lot of time in the back to tank. So here, this shot, this is what I'm thinking is the beginning of the film. We see Han in this outfit, the streets of Corellia. What's interesting is it looks dark here, but there's shots later where they're driving around. We saw them in the previous trailer as well, where it looks like it's daylight. So I don't know if this is an underbelly, and it's not that it's night, it's that they're in an underground, or if it's a chase scene that goes on really long, or if they're two separate chase scenes.
I'm a driver.
This is interesting. So I watched this on TV on American Idol. Like, if you watch my reaction video, I was watching it on American Idol. When I went to edit it and I downloaded the trailer to put on my screen, I had to cut out this section because this section didn't air on television. So this is what Han says.
I'm a driver. And I'm a flyer.
I'm a driver and I'm a flyer. I think it's funny that he said flyer and not pilot, but maybe that's because there's a difference. Maybe that's because he's being poetic, what have you. For whatever reason, that did not air on television. I don't know if it's that there's 2 cuts of the trailer. I don't know if those 4 seconds made a big deal for airing on television, but what have you. Here, so we see shots of Han and Qi'ra together in this speeder in the teaser. But here, she is very clearly not there. That is an empty seat. And if we go here, there's even something in the seat, like right there in the corner. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if that's just something we can't see in this shot, or if this might actually be juxtaposed from 2 different scenes. But again, this kind of goes to, I think there might be more than one chase scene, or this isn't a part of the chase scene, and this is Han driving up to Qi'ra's door. Here we see Han, again in an outfit. I don't really see him anywhere else. He is wearing some kind of armor thing. This could be Woody Harrelson, but that's very much an Imperial cap, so I'm kind of curious about that. This is presumably the speeder and not the ship. And see here, here's this chase, and it appears to be in the day, so this is what I was talking about. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Can we tell if Qi'ra's there or not? I can't determine if she's there or not. It looks like not, if I had to guess, but I can't really determine that. And then here we go to, this is a shot of probably the heist. What I'm really curious about with this heist is, where's this explosion coming from? Like, do they blow the train up? Or is there like something on the train they weren't expecting? Like, what's going on there? This is the pilot of that ship. This is also the pilot, or the same kind of chair that the Jon Favreau alien sits in. So I think that's kind of interesting. I've been waiting for a long time for the shot. So this is interesting because we don't see a whole heck of a lot of her anywhere else. This is like the shot of her. Otherwise, it's like Qi'ra everywhere. So I think that's kind of interesting. I kind of wonder if she's either not that big of a deal, but she looks cool, or if this is a case of, I don't know. I don't know why. I just think it's interesting we don't see a lot of her.
Like this.
Han gets his blaster from his buddy. So here is the makings of our favorite friendship in Star Wars.
Well, what do you know?
So good. So here we're on the snow planet. This looks like the same place where the heist was taking place. I really like this like mammoth skeleton. And it looks like, it's almost like the guts of a ship that just kind of is sitting in the mountains.
You got a line on a ship?
So here, I think this is the, like, bar place where Lando lives. So I kind of wonder if this isn't where, like, it looks so warm. And I mean that in terms of, like, warm lighting, not temperature, inside. But I'm wondering if this, if you kind of look at the shape, see how it's round? And it looks kind of rounded in here. I'm kind of wondering if this isn't where Lando is.
Yeah, no,
and that, I mean, we also see Lando in furs, Qi'ra's in furs in this shot. So it makes sense that he would be on this cold planet.
He's the best smuggler around.
I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
I love this.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
So much there. So first off, Donald Glover is just getting that Lando personality. And what I like about it is here, Lando is still very clearly Lando, but he's not like suave, I'm gonna sweet talk everybody Lando. Like, this is rambunctious, cocky Lando. And then he's not quite yet Billy D. Williams Lando, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I think it's gonna be fun because we can actually see some character development there, where he goes from just being young gun cocky to, well, Billy D. Williams. I also really like this. He looks so BA. Like, this is such a peacocking scene. Like, he is peacocking for Han Solo by being like, look, I don't even need to look to fill up my drink. And he's like, anything, it doesn't matter what you've heard about me, if it's good or bad, I am so confident that whatever you heard about me was good, it's true. Like, just everything about his attitude is wonderful. Some kind of, I think this is probably an opening door and not a gunshot, but there's something going on here. Here's the new droid, who's like grabbing somebody by the face.
Let go of the mean man's face.
And I like these kind of quippy lines, like, let go of the mean man's face. Like, it's cool to see that kind of quippiness, and I know not as many people like the kind of like Marvel-esque quippiness, but I think it works really well for what this type of film is going to be. And I also appreciate that this trailer is setting up characters, you know, in the way I feel like this droid is going to be to Lando what Chewie is to Han. And I think that says a lot, where Lando's best friend would be a droid, especially considering he eventually gets Lobot, who's part droid.
Who are these guys?
And the droid obviously has attitude. And then here we are, the Falcon. Look at that. I'm not sure if that's reflected light or color, but obviously the Falcon is a little bit different in design. This is a little bit larger of a nose. I think what's going to happen is we're actually going to see the Falcon get into a crash of some sort, and then Han, that's why Han redesigns her, but we'll see. Inside is so crisp and clean.
With us, you're in this life for good.
Woody's all like, you join us forever, and I'm always skittish of people who say that. But again, I'm going to get to that point in a second. This would be the Falcon's jets, I believe.
Buckle up, baby.
Might want to buckle up, baby. I love it. Again, he's Lando before Lando is just going to sweet talk everybody. He's the Lando who's like, I'm just the coolest dude.
Might wanna buckle up, baby.
And Han's just really over it. Okay, so here's the train for the heist. I love this shot because to me, these boots are magnetic. See, blue, red. I think they lock onto the train, which means we're going to be in for a really cool scene. You can see the train's kind of turning and they're not moving anywhere. This is an important line.
Assume everyone will betray you.
So Woody's going on to say, assume everyone will betray you, that way you're never going to be let down. I think that this could be a very telling line, and I think it's possible that everyone in the movie betrays Han. He's saying this over Kira with the droid, and Lando. Now, Lando does betray Han later. Whether or not he's also going to betray him here, I don't know. Also, can we talk about how great this shirt is? Because in such a muted movie, he's like bright yellow. I don't care. But I'm assuming her getup here is a part of her impersonating someone.
Will betray you.
But it's just, to me, it's interesting that we're seeing all of these characters during Everyone Will Betray You. In the same way I thought it was interesting that we have revenge over Diet Knights of Ren and money over money. This shot is cool. If you watch what's happening here, that looks like a walker. Like, this looks like a proto-Imperial walker. So I think at some point we're going to see a fight between the rebellion and the... Well, at some point we're going to see a fight that involves people fighting the Empire. I don't know if it's going to be rebellion or not. But this is clearly somebody dressed up like a soldier here. Here again is the other mysterious lady of the movie with a really cool looking gun. Well, grappling gun, but still. And then Woody's like,
Never be disappointed.
you'll never be disappointed. This part! So, pretty sure this is Mala, which makes me super pumped, because that means part of the holiday special is still true. Look at that love. Look at the love there. So I don't know if they're going to be already married at this point. I don't know if they're just going to be in love. So if you don't know what the Star Wars holiday special is, that's perfect, because we have a playlist where I made 2 of my friends watch it, and you should totally check that out. But in it, Chewie has a family. He has a wife named Mala and a child named Lumpy. Yes, named Lumpy. And Lumpy's already back in canon. Lumpy shows up in the Aftermath trilogy in one of the kind of like side story interlude type things. So this is Mala, so that means Lumpy presumably had the same mother. I'm very curious to see this, because I feel like Chewbacca has always been the best friend in everything. But he's never really had a storyline. And so I'm really excited to see Chewie probably having a storyline. What's also interesting here is they're getting shot at. I didn't really notice this because I've been distracted by Mala. But he's probably saying goodbye there. And I'm thinking what's happening here is Chewie has to run away with Han. He's probably leaving Mala and other Wookiees behind. Probably Kessel, because Kessel's going to be in there, and Kessel is a prison planet. And he has to get away with Han because reasons. Again, that's just me guessing. Space Octopus! I am so ready for Space Octopus. So what I like about this, here, everyone's excited because Han has a good feeling about this. I like that we saw Lando flying, and then here we see Han flying. The Falcon did originally belong to Lando, so it's good to see that the Falcon did originally belong to Lando, so I like that we're going to see how Han acquired the Falcon from Lando. I'm curious to know if Han is flying here because he's already taken control of the Falcon, or if it's just the necessity of how this particular part of the story is going. This is the part I love here.
When do you know how to fly? 190 years old? You look great.
So, Chewie was always very old in established canon. Whether or not 190 years old is his exact age or not, I don't know. So, it was established that Chewie is about 200 in A New Hope. Past video I had just made, which is When Does Han Solo Take Place, puts this at between 11 and 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, which would be before Chewie is 200. So 11 would work depending on how months fall, but the 5 is a little weird. So my original thought was this movie was going to take place when Han was young, and then flash forward. If Chewie is specifically 190, then that theory is incorrect, because whenever this scene takes place, would have to be in about 11 or 10 years before the Battle of Yavin. Now, in the event that Chewie and or Han through translation is rounding, it still works. So we don't know exactly. It's also possible, so my original theory was that we were going to see 11 or 5 years before the Battle of Yavin and nothing in between. It's possible the movie starts at 11, most of the movie takes place at 10, and then they jump ahead 5. There's still a lot of ways this can go. Of course, this would happen after I get the video out about when Han Solo takes place, but I still don't think we necessarily know down to the year, but we probably will soon. I like that he says push it instead of punch it, which is his line from the other movies. So here the Falcon is flying in over the planet of the Diet Knights of Ren. If we look at the ship, it's still that longer-nosed version. Here's Dryden Voss, aka Paul Bettany, and he's got a laser whip, which I'm really excited about. So, or at least some kind of laser weapon. So in Star Wars, there's all kinds of other weapons with lasers besides lightsabers, and that's cool to see. There's like a Spartan helmet there or something. So here we see Battlegrounds. This is probably by where the Imperial Walker is. Here we see a guy running. This could very well be Han. This could be Han on the battlefield, and he's like, I want to get the heck out of here. Something like that. We see people fighting. Here we have Chewie fighting a dude who's probably a slaver of some sort. This is probably them freeing slaves on Kessel. There's Kira throwing a thing. Here's the droid yelling, I'm so glad we took this job. She kind of reminds me of like a droid version of Captain Phasma.
So glad we took this job.
Like, if Captain Phasma was a droid, that would be her. In my headcanon, I think that that somehow they're connected, but that's just my headcanon. So here's the classic, Chewie's about to fall off the train! Oh no! Look over! Oh, I'm gonna get hit by the rock! Obligatory, the movie's gonna be in 3D, we have to have a cool shot. And then, Solo, May 25th in 3D. And that's the trailer. So that's the full look of the trailer. I'm really excited to see what I saw there. So the movie really feels like an action adventure. It really feels like something that's not going to be like super in depth, not going to be like Last Jedi where it's going to be this meta commentary on fandom and in general and all of this. This looks like a popcorn flick. I've said it before. If you don't want a nostalgia picture, you shouldn't go see this because the only point of the film is nostalgia. I've seen some people talking to one of my buddy, a friend of ours at the channel Star Wars Ramblings, had commented that he and a friend of his were concerned that Kira might just die, and that would be kind of uninteresting. My thoughts are that she might die, but I think she's going to betray Han. I think if Han is like so interested in this woman, and then so uninterested in like being interested in Leia for a little bit, it could be because he's been burned before. I mean, yeah, he's interested in being interested in Leia and like A New Hope, unless he's just doing that to mess with Luke. But I think this is going to be a case of everyone burns Han, and that's how Han becomes Han Solo, because he wasn't a team, and everyone he knew except Chewbacca was out to get him. So that's kind of my ultimate takeaway from this. So again, in one of my other videos, I talked about how Bob Iger said that one of the things we're going to see in the movie is how Han Solo got his name. Now that might not be literal. Maybe he was born with the name Han Solo. But I think we're going to see how Han came to be Solo. And I think that's going to be a big takeaway from this film. How Han feels either burned or has burned other people. So that I guess is my bigger prediction with all of this. But that's my thoughts on the trailer. If I missed anything, let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys on what you thought. Leave a comment. I'd love to discuss it with you. Follow us at Port Haven Forums on Twitter. Visit port-haven.com for even more. We have all kinds of content that doesn't even make it to YouTube. And as always, keep it real and fly casual.